This is a video to show those that want to utilize the Creative Innovation Centre or CICCIC's digital gallery, which is basically loads of screens that are placed throughout our gallery. Then these are the procedures that you need to make. Now, just like anything, obviously the screens are restricted in size, so therefore your artwork needs to be restricted in size. Now, at the moment, I'm in a program called Photoshop, but you may have your own editing program for editing images. But in general, what you need is to make sure that your images are 1920 by 1080, and this is basically sort of high definition images. It can be 72 dpi or higher, it doesn't really matter, and you don't need to worry about the color, but if you can keep it to RGB, that's fine. So what you do is you create a blank image in pixels. Just to repeat that, that's 1920 by 1080p, and basically if you click OK, what that will do is create a blank document. And then if you have a copy of your artwork, so in this case I'm just going to grab something from here and drag that in, and then obviously you can see my artwork is fitting perfectly within that 1920 by 1080 image. Now in some instances you may be able to enlarge your image. So here we can see it's very difficult to enlarge the image, or else this curved bit will expand, but let's just do this anyway. So what we're going to do is we're just going to enlarge that slightly, and of course the more you fill the screen the better. So actually, even though I've trimmed some of the elements of the image, it doesn't look too bad at all. So for instance, I'm just going to move that one up a bit, and I think that might be quite acceptable. Once you've done that, just basically save it as a JPEG. So in this particular instance you would obviously select JPEG, and then obviously give your image a name. Preferably you would put in your name, such as my name here, and I would call it Art1 or something of that nature, and then click save. And that's it. You don't need to do anything else. That's how you basically create your own artwork. But if you are doing, of course that's landscape, so if you are doing a portrait one, you just swap those around. So that's 1920 by 1080. And click OK, and as you can see we have quite an elongated rectangle shape. So let's for instance add something to that. So if I just put my artwork in here and expand that to the edges, as you can see it's not filling correctly, but if you want to leave your artwork like that you can do. It just means that obviously there's an extra white trim around it. However, obviously if I expand that, I can see that I can fit the whole thing in, but the problem is obviously my text that I've put in my image obviously isn't working correctly. So maybe what I should do in this instance is remove the text, put the image in, and then maybe put the text back in, which is fine. Again, you go to File, Save As, save it as a JPEG, and then obviously give it a name, and basically go from there. Now of course you may have other sized images which are very strange in size, so there's not much you can do about that. So for instance, if I look at another one, so if I grab this one into it and then place that one in, and as you can see if I stretch that, and there you go, so you can see that I can't really make it any bigger than that, or else it'll go over the edges. However, if you're very good at doing graphics on a computer, what you can do is change the background color to suit the color of your image. So in this particular instance, what I'm going to do is basically draw a rectangle, and as you let me just put that one behind it, so you can see that rectangle is blue. However, obviously what I can do is eyedrop, and as you can see I've now made the background the same image as the one I've got. And if you really are technical, what you can do is actually start doing some erasing. So for instance, in this program we've got different types of erasers. I'm just going to use a soft one, and I can see roughly what the size is. 193 pixels. I'm just going to increase that, and then of course then I can start to erase this image. And if you notice, I can just blur, take away those lines, so I can just blur a little bit, and maybe just put a little bit there, and I can just blur that slightly, just so it takes away those hard lines around the edges. And as you can see, that's almost done. So I can even do a little bit closer around there, And I think I'll do a little bit more around there. And as you can see now, I've filled the whole screen, even though the original artwork obviously didn't fill the whole screen. So that's one way you can do it as well. So let's do that one with perhaps another way. So let's look at that from the landscape perspective. So 1920 by 1080. And I'll click OK, and I'll do the same again if I grab this one and then obviously put that one in. Oh, perhaps I won't use that one then. I'll try another one. Let's try this one again. And again, I could expand this one that way. So again, you may decide which one is more appropriate. Don't forget that we have more portrait screen and more landscape screens than portrait. And of course, you can see this particular image is slightly low resolution because you can see it's slightly pixelated, but that's okay because it will still look good on the screen. So again, what I'm going to do is just draw a square, move that square behind the image, change the color of that square, and again I will use my eraser wherever it's gone. There it is. And then again, sorry, I need to make sure I've got the right thing selected. And then I can start to erase some of those hard lines. And of course, I don't need to do the top or bottom. I can just maybe fade that in a little bit and that in a little bit. Just do a little bit on the top just to make it nice. Get close to the edge, to the actual article. And that's it. So you would save that as a JPEG as well, but now you can see that fits quite nicely within the frame that you need. So that's it basically. There's nothing else you need to know. If you want to look for editing programs to do this, obviously go online. There are some free ones which I don't know the names of, but obviously if you have Photoshop or access to Photoshop, you can do it in the same way as I've done. So that's it. So that's how you prepare your artwork or photography or any other type of image for the Creative Innovation Center Digital Gallery use. Thank you.